You thought that was dope, but MTV wouldn't scoop it. Cause man, that TV show was straight stupid. No one wants to see it, that's realer than real. Man, people wanna see something that they can feel. I'm telling you what's up, cause I know the deal. Now sit your ass down and witness mass appeal. Don't change the diesel, turn it up a little. This is the bizzle, Snoopy Deagle double jizzle. Yeah, it's off the hizzle, for shizzle, for rizzle. This is the show we call
TC and Jake.
Chaos in the Big 12.
Oh.
Your home for sports, 888. That's our number, 888.
888. Banter, that would work. No, it wouldn't.
BANTER.
12.
We need another
Because sometimes people, to make it work, there's an extra digit in there.
star banter.
But we're a Big 12 show.
Yes.
So
Chaos in the Big 12.
I saw a billboard on the way over here that I wanted your opinion on.
Was it about did KJ masturbate to it?
No. There's a lively chat this morning.
Yeah. I always like Josh. Just talking about our boys chat. We have a little boys chat going, and Josh is the one that wakes up the latest by far. So I always like thinking about whenever he looks over at his phone with 50 notifications.
That happens to me a lot also.
Yeah, it happens to me sometimes.
I don't know. Again, it's like
You always know it's group chat. It's not one person who wanted to send you 50 things.
Oh, I don't have that on.
Okay.
Like when I don't.
Just DND the group chat.
All of them.
Okay.
Like my thing never
Tell
says.
me more.
It never says like green 6. Like there's never a number on the message. I know I have text messages when I open my phone.
So do you get text alerts at all?
No.
What a life! I encountered this on the mayoral campaign. The candidate would not. He had no text alerts. It's just whenever he felt like he had time, he would click on the text app and see what people had said to him in the last 7 hours.
Usually for me, it's like the last hour.
Yeah,
But I mean, I don't look at it during the show hardly at all.
that's good.
And you guys will
policy.
pop off comedy during the show quite a bit, and then at the end of the show, I'm like, boy, they're on like the 5th topic from where this thing started.
Yeah.
And I feel like my text
It's
with
fast paced.
5 friends have turned into the internet. I'm like, I can't even unspool this.
Yeah.
Now the billboard was one of these. I mean, there's a million. The one I always think of is like the economic impact of the Super Bowl or the Olympics.
Sure.
This one's not probably quite as fuzzy, although maybe. And it's a billboard that says 4.6 million kids lived with unlocked loaded guns.
Okay. You saying you don't believe that?
Well, there's a couple things.
Would you know? Like, unlocked is such a specific claim.
That's my point.
You think you know at any given time what the lock status is on the fucking...
I don't think they mean like the safety. They mean that people don't have them in a safe.
Yeah,
They
but
don't
I'm
have
just
them in
saying if it's
yeah.
if saying it's unlocked,
Like, is
it's
there
like
a central nervous system that
they're
clicks
in
on
a
or
safe,
off? Right.
but the dad forgot before he went to
We got
work.
another safe unlocked. They left it unlocked.
Up the count.
Add it to the count. It just seemed very like I love those sort of estimates, but then I also kind of
Just tell me how many killed each other in
Right.
accidents.
That should be
that's
easier.
hard. You can count that.
Right. Although, can you? Because some of those might have been intentional, but they're kids. So you're like, oh, they can't be subject to the rational person model, so they can't actually be prosecuted. But just
I don't know.
even the way that it read, just from a sentence structure standpoint, an estimated 4.6 million kids lived with unlocked loaded guns, which in my mind, I immediately thought of unlocked loaded guns adopting children.
Just got the agency sorting through applications. Like, well, we are hard up. Guess we'll have to place him with an unlocked loaded gun.
But
I got into this to help kids, but now I'm placing them with unlocked loaded guns.
And here's the other hang up. This couple that's about to come in here, It's two AR-15s.
And
They're unlocked. They're loaded. And they're gay.
Oh no! Now, would you rather, if you're like the Catholic Charities or whatever, would you rather place the kid with a gay couple or an unlocked loaded gun? These are the questions they have to face.
I just thought of like two guns walking with a child. Why is everyone looking at us? It must be because we're unlocked and loaded, and this the stigma around our parenting status is just. It's a real burden. Just 4.6 million. Okay. Well, it could have said 10. The effect would have been the same. It could have said 2.
What do you want me to do?
The effect would be
it?
the same. It's like, yeah, all right. What do you want me to do? Is there anybody who like went home and locked their gun when they saw that billboard? No.
I don't know.
I guess I'm saying I think most billboards are bullshit.
Except for the sexy ones.
Yeah, like unlicensed therapists on staff.
Oh, yeah. He can't make it past that billboard. 0% chance.
KJ?
Yeah.
He's taking some shots here. Yeah, I think the only ones I like are the ones that are clearly a desperate plea to remind Luka that Dallas actually loves him. Because that'll be what it is, right? If he decides
I think they're trying to promote the team.
Yeah. They should put Pants DJ up there.
That's not a good way to promote the team.
What
it's
about
not the foot you want to put forward.
What about Mavs Band? Noticeably absent from Billboard promotion for 25 years.
You know my stance there. I thought that he was. I thought he used to be on that one, like going through downtown. I kind of half see him on a billboard.
Yeah, I do too. It just feels like it's been a long time. It's probably been, since the new round of allegations. Mavrillo's not up there, although he's more of a digital space.
I wish he was nothing space.
Yeah.
I wish there was no space in which we had to deal with this bullshit.
I wish like that's like the one thing Sint could do to make me like actually treat her like she's not a puppet force field. Mm-hmm. Somehow publicly execute Mavrillo.
That'd be so tight.
Gotta do it.
To have her,
yeah,
just like a slick produced video of her like hacking his head off.
Yeah, or like he has a blindfold on.
No. And
I want her like in full power suit attire,
Yeah, and like laughing.
I would write her a blank check, carte blanche faith if she could pull
anything
that off.
she needs.
Did I tell you? Did I give you my dumb of the week last week?
No,
I got a lot of
think
shit running together.
It's hard to say.
Do you ever like do something like let's say
I have done something.
Let's say stub your toe. And or sometimes like for me, I find myself probably too clumsy to be working out much because I'll bump into like weights or bump into like the rack a lot, and it's like I bet people who actually exercise are more coordinated than this and don't have this problem. But I'm like the weird intersection of try hard, which means you're going to be around a lot of equipment and also not coordinated enough to handle it. Mm-hmm. I find myself at least 50%, and it's probably closer to like 90% of the time that I do something that hurts. I will out loud be like, damn, that hurt. It's like, like the same brain that felt that hurt. That's the one that's sending those words. Like that's just not necessary.
Oh,
it's different to be like if you're like fuck, that's one thing. But if you're like fuck, my leg that hurt. Like who are?
I feel like that soothes it more.
Do you?
Like I kind of like to humor helps with everything, and I get a kick myself out of like talking about it like I just got hurt at baseball practice in the 50s. Be like, geez, that smarts.
Yeah, maybe if you can add some comedy, but I just find myself like seconds later being like, who's that for?
I tell you, that is a humdinger.
But for who?
Yeah, I do it for me. Megan likes it.
I do it reflexively, and I'm just like, you're an idiot.
If I go from stubbing my toe into, I'll sometimes go, yeah! And she always thinks that's funny.
You turn into the Adam West Batman.
Yeah.
Words populating on the screen. So pretty much the only thing that I've read about this week or thought about outside of sports is Jeff Bezos.
Oh, I mean, if you were coming in hoping to have a Jeff Bezos podcast, I don't want to ruin your dreams. I want you to be able to have the life you want to have, but who gives a fuck? Leave him up there, I say. I say just leave him up there.
Yeah, that's an interesting line of humor. I guess it's really interesting to me. I think there are a lot of different angles of it that are interesting, but I love when people will on Twitter be like, what if we had Twitter during fill in the blank and the jokes? I think it's pretty cool that the guy, he's basically the king of Earth. Like if anybody's qualified for that title at this point, not just from a wealth standpoint, but just from how much of the world operates under his purview.
Yeah.
And it's not even really like getting diapers delivered. It's fucking web services, right?
Yeah.
Like it's the logistics that run the world.
Yeah, and is becoming one of the largest movie studios, et cetera, et cetera.
Sure. So he's king of Earth. He had a childhood dream.
When you control the internet, you control the Earth.
Sure. So he had this childhood dream of going to quote unquote space. And like he did it, and everybody was immediately like, fucking barely space. And like I think that's awesome.
Yeah.
Like it does kind of, that's the closest thing we have to like, hey, what if there was Twitter during, I don't know, Hindenburg, fucking any number of tragedies of domestic or international terrorism that we didn't have Twitter for. Like he literally, there's tons of things you can talk about from this standpoint, like the moral side of it, the fact that the government is basically paying for it. And it doesn't seem like any of the news agencies really were all that interested in reporting on that he's getting a $10 billion bailout from the Senate because Elon beat him to the NASA bid. And now they're like, yeah, but you're Jeff Bezos, so maybe we'll have a second bid. Here's $10 billion. No, they're not talking about that whenever they're interviewing the 82-year-old that went up there. They're just all sucking this guy off. But the main thing is just that immediately everyone was like, it was like 11 minutes.
Yeah.
You've been to space 11 more minutes than the rest of us. Sweet. Awesome.
Yeah, and I recently watched the Neil Armstrong movie. I've been meaning to tell you a little bit about the Neil Armstrong movie. I assume you haven't seen the Neil Armstrong movie? Is that the safest assumption I've ever made? The look he just gave me, listener, implies that he did not see the Neil Armstrong movie.
I didn't even know there was one.
Ryan Gosling. It's called First Man. Damien Chazelle directed. You never seen Whiplash? There's no way you've seen Whiplash either. You would like Whiplash.
I actually have.
Okay, well, that's Damien Chazelle.
Okay.
Yeah, so that movie was tight.
Yes, it was. I'm a big fan of Miles Teller.
Yeah.
I like him quite a bit.
Yeah. And it's Gosling is Neil. I'm a big Gosling guy. I think he's done great work.
I think that's totally fine.
A true star. But yeah, so they depict, like, the opening of the movie is like one of Neil Armstrong's test flights. And he more or less, like, I think, so the like problem that it encounters is that he bounces off the atmosphere. So he's outside of the atmosphere. So I don't know, like, what qualifies as space.
Interestingly enough, I learned that they have a threshold for it this week from O.J. Simpson.
No, he told you.
Yeah, it's saying it went to 65 miles, which is technically above the threshold that they consider for space. And then he was like,
That's no doubt exactly how he said it.
anyways, my first fantasy draft is coming up next week, and I was talking to a buddy about how many skill position players I'm going to draft from the Cowboys.
Fantasy football.
More than anyone in the fucking world.
Yeah.
Like, he's probably in 10 leagues. He probably gets just about every trade request accepted.
I just imagine, like, people inviting him. He's like, "Oh, I'm in so many leagues," but then he says yes.
Yes, he says that every day. He can't turn it down. But
I'm already doing the draft research.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, he had a number, and I'm like, well, shit, I guess they got a number for space. If OJ says it's a number for space, there must be Must be a number.
But yeah, I was just, wondering if like this thing that's like barely even a note in Neil Armstrong's career is what is more or less what Bezos did. I would assume it's like just outside the atmosphere. I thought that Philip Kingston's point of orbit or GTFO made sense to me.
Totally agree.
But yeah, all of it. I don't care. Like, I don't want him to orbit. I want him to die. I just the whole thing. I would prefer, like, you're upset at the style of the coverage. I'm upset that the coverage exists. Like, I guess, yeah, I get it. He went to space, but like, just any of the arguments that people like, this is a podcast that has very deeply examined the question of what was the purpose of the space missions.
Yeah.
And
propaganda was the answer we landed on.
I don't think that any of those could be applied to this. A lot of people were pointing out what he did is something that we've been doing for like 50 years. Like, the first guy that did it like just died of old age like a while ago.
Yeah.
So just not that novel. Like, it's great. Like, if I were his son, then I guess you could tell me about it. Like, I'm just not close enough in the orbit of if it's an interest that like there's a story of like if it happens to your dad, then you'd like to hear about it. If it's an uncle, then like okay, uncle's friend. Now it's like, all right, well, this story has no fucking value to me.
Okay.
I think that Bezos would need to be like my closest uncle for me to care about whether or not he
does it matter how many uncles you have?
Yeah, in this case,
there's an apportioning
I would need to have a pretty shallow pool of uncles.
Right. Yeah, I mean, look, it's frustrating that, to me, it was an opportunity for like Bolshevik infused coverage by the media to just be like, this is a fucking travesty that this dude thinks this is worth this money and is actually trying to sell us on the idea. And by the way, the government is giving him a lot of money.
The whole thing was worth it for that one. Which CNN guy was it? That was like, this is bringing us together. And then everyone ripped him for the rest of the day.
I didn't see that.
He was yesterday's main character.
Was he?
Yeah.
Because I also know that
it was one of the big CNN guys.
Jeff Bezos also he tried to hit the Van Jones donation force field. Did you see that?
No.
So after his flight, he announced that. So he not only gave $19 million from Blue Origin's budget to space organizations, fucking the Smithsonian, whatever.
I've had dinner and drinks with a Blue Origin scientist.
Really?
I have.
Where at?
Seattle, Washington.
How'd that come about?
He grew up with Justin.
Oh, okay.
It was tight. He's a cool guy.
Does he feel at all like any sort of moral?
We didn't talk about space that much. We just kind of talked about growing up with Justin. And that guy fucking walked the house note once.
How do you do that?
Just if you don't pay, like, they can't make you.
So you just never need credit again?
After 7 years, it cycles off.
Really?
I think so. I think that there's a.
If you have like a 30-year note?
I think I could be wrong. Surely someone out there with more information than me can help with this. But like, he lives in a house now, And the big thing is that he said that it was like 2 years before the bank got their shit together to like actually remove him. Like, he kept on living in the house for 2 years before they. I mean, this was the height of people getting yanked out of houses, so they were probably backed up.
Overloaded, yeah.
I'm not saying that everyone can enjoy this, but something to think about.
And if you do try it,
but then
we'll
he picked himself up,
right,
and eventually became a Blue Origin scientist.
So Bezos gave $100 million to someone named Jose Andres, who is apparently a chef.
You know him. He's always getting the headlines.
He's
making meals for people in hurricane-ravaged Puerto Rico.
Can we, at this point of the show, 10 years in, put a moratorium on you saying you know who that is? Because I honestly don't.
Let me ask you this. In this case, it's frustration if you, like, on my part, if you don't, because I would like to have never heard. Like, he's a fucking phony. They had a thing where people in DC would, restaurants in DC would have to pay full minimum wage to tipped employees. and he like came out strong against it. So he's supposed to be like a real figure on the left. NPR just couldn't shut the fuck up about him. Whenever I was driving Uber, every other story was whatever fucking Chef Jose Andres is doing. He hated Trump, you know.
Oh, of course,
He would tell you exactly how bad the Orange Man was. But then when it came time to like actually give working people money, he was like, I don't know about all that. That could mean that me and my friends have less money against.
Well, I missed that story,
him.
and I've never seen this guy before.
And that's the world I would like to live in, but I've been so rudely ripped from it that I am not okay with you not knowing.
So he gave $100 million to Chef Neolib and $100 million to Van Jones and said, do with this as you please for charity. So please don't get mad at me about the fact that I'm trying to get my dick
like,
hard.
Isn't that more annoying?
Of course it is.
Like that he can do that without, like it's...
What if you just did that?
I know that that it's not costing him anything because he's doing it, right? Like,
of course.
You can, in your head, like you knew, like if you fucked up or something, like, you cheat on your wife, but you're like, hey, an amount that doesn't bother me to any charity of your choice, to like you pave it over. Because Everett knows, like, if it were an amount that bothered him, he wouldn't be giving it over just like, apologizing for going to space? Like,
and the fact that, he's giving it while also spending. I would almost be okay
so this
with
is
it.
his, I can chip in 20. And learning what the number is for that, like, fuck off.
He'll put 5 on it.
Yeah.
Because he went to space.
Yeah, so it's Jim Sciutto. Sciutto. You know him? The CNN guy?
We made it 40 seconds.
I'm not telling you that you ought to know him. I'm asking you if you do. Jim Sciutto. Sciutto.
Sciutto.
You watch a lot more CNN than I do.
No,
it's
I
a
don't.
reasonable question. Have
No,
you
I
seen
don't.
CNN for a single second in the last 6 months?
Yeah. Yeah, because I'll tell you why.
Then I think I'm right.
Well, so I have seen this guy. I never knew his name, but I've seen this guy. I definitely watch more Fox News than I do CNN.
Yeah.
But
Because you like entertainment.
But along those same lines, I was getting a lot of enjoyment out of Mayor Cuomo's brother for about like a 1 month stretch.
That was fun.
Yeah. So then that was within the last 6 months.
I now looking back, I would love to have seen his show after that story broke that he was on calls about how to handle this grabber story, this dinosaur grabber fallout.
and boy, how about the fact that after we talked about that a couple times, the TikTok meme of people putting dinosaur faces on like dirt movers on TikTok came up.
I haven't seen that.
It's
that
awesome.
Sounds wonderful.
Yeah, people who have like big dirt movers painted their faces up all like dinos.
Hell
they
yeah.
open their jaws and
That's so cool.
no butts grabbed.
Mm-hmm.
It'd be a little
You
aggressive.
could really hurt someone.
You really could. But then you actually found a dino grabber.
Yes. I went to the Field Museum, Chicago's top natural history museum.
Okay, I'm sorry. Did you just say the Field Museum? Because of all the
that's
naturally
the name.
occurring landscapes.
I think it's Jim Field, but yes, that is the name of the museum.
And not nary a shrimp in sight.
No, it's not a field shrimp museum.
Anyways, Jeff Bezos did this whole deal. Oh, he was wearing a cowboy hat. Did you see that? That was cute.
I did, yeah,
And a big
Texas,
belt buckle.
because he was landing in Texas, and that's what we do.
Took off from there. Yeah.
Yeah, it's been hard to film this, while keeping our cowboy hats in frame.
Right.
But yeah, no. If anyone's wondering if it's fun to go with your friends and take edibles and walk through the Field Museum, it is. I recommend. They sell them in Chicago now. Did you know that?
I did.
Yeah.
I've heard that.
But yeah, Jim's tweet was, excuse my mostly incurable optimism,
All right.
but could 2 successful private space launches in 9 days be something all Americans rally around together?
Oh, no.
I am not inclined to excuse it, Jim.
You know, right out of the gate, we had
It's
issues.
just a no.
Incurable. Yeah, we can cure it. All right.
Yeah, I'll fucking cure it, Jim.
Yeah, I'll cure that right up, Jim.
Me and this bat with nails through it.
But actually, I was gonna make fun of Jim's tweet, and then I was in line at the grocery store, and somebody paid for food for their family with their rallying around check.
Uh-huh.
Because they had rallied around.
Uh-huh.
And then they were given food. And then they were not dying anymore. Because they rallied.
That's good.
That's the dumbest tweet I think I've ever heard in my life. And we've got some doozies here. See, I thought I had a good one.
He's just giving no context about he's excited that they're private space launches. Like, why is that more exciting than all of the shuttle launches prior to now? And there's two of them close together. Like, that's the tipping point for American history, is we had two, fucking hobbyists funded by the government, got to shoot off their big model rocket. And so now Jim's, I don't know how we would have any problems with each other after this. I got a problem with you right now, Jim.
I'm going to cure that optimism.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know that I would necessarily, and look, I'm not for private or public funded state travel, although this is far from simply private.
Oh,
they're private citizens.
The Field Museum is named for Marshall Field.
Don't ask.
What?
If I know who Marshall Field is.
Okay. The department store, Marshall Fields.
I have never known that it had a hyphenated name.
No, just the guy's name is Marshall Field. And so the department store is Marshall Fields.
Is this the same as Marshall's?
Yeah.
Okay, that's what I'm saying. Is I never ever knew that there was a.
Oh, the Field.
Yeah, I've never heard of that ever. I've been to, obviously Marshall's was a big player in my life growing up, but
I think it was one of those things where it might have been called Marshall Fields in Illinois, but Marshall's down here, something like that. I could be wrong.
I think it's funny in Jim's case that he's basically saying, hey, this thing that the government kind of really can't do anymore, let's rally around the fact that these two people did it.
Yeah.
How's that supposed to give me any faith in?
I have 1,000 problems processing Jim's tweet. But the note that I wanted to deliver to you prior to this Bezos stuff about First Man, of not why you should watch it, but why you should just be happy knowing it's out there. The movie goes out of its way multiple times to I think that the two primary points it wants to get across are that one, Neil Armstrong did a lot of wild stuff, and that two, Buzz Aldrin is the biggest asshole who's ever walked this planet.
Yeah, maybe I remember this movie just from I didn't see it, but just from somebody telling me that is a narrative that is persistent. I think that I don't know, Buzz Aldrin punched Damien Chazelle's dad or something. They have a vendetta for him, and it's great. I love it. The way that the scenes where they're trying to get that across are great. It's a great movie. Yeah, and I mean, without that, the guy obviously seems like an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I've never really understood when people send me pictures of him wearing his space and moon letter jacket. See?
Showboat. I'm
like, dude, you're kind of proving my point here.
Yeah.
This guy seems awful.
Yeah.
Have you seen the the Fox News pivot on the vaccine?
Hannity said that it was good.
Yeah, and I guess even Shapiro, who I know he's a step further than Fox News.
Yeah.
That's it's definitely not funny, but I'm positive there's some solid side-by-sides that Media Matters or somebody could come up with here. But this doesn't feel like it's good right now.
What do you mean?
Well,
you're taking that as a sign that things are so dire that they're willing to say that the vaccine might be all right?
Exactly.
Yeah.
I think they broke the glass case open and were like, God damn it. We really didn't want to have to do this. But now people are dying at alarming rates in our strongholds.
I think that at the it is definitely not my stance. Like that.
Whatever he's about to say is his stance.
No. I'm not one of those people that's like, well, they didn't get vaccinated. It's their fault. I don't feel that way. Like, I think that the people who are choosing not to get vaccinated likely have a wide array of reasons to do so. If it were me, I would, in most cases, get past those reasons and recommend getting the vaccine. I think that everyone should get the vaccine. But, you know, like I have sympathy for everyone, right? Like people are the way they are for reasons.
What about Jim?
I know that someone did something wrong, clearly very wrong to Jim to make him this way.
Fair.
And I love Jim, you know, like
you kind of just want to wrap your arms around him.
Not in spite of his flaws, but because of his flaws.
It's sure.
And that's how I feel about everyone. But at the point at which vaccines are widely available, I am simply downgrading how much I'm willing to pay attention to this story. Like, there's a lot, like, you know, now I'm think that I'd be interested to run the numbers and like, would the coronavirus in its effects on the country, like a country that has the vaccine fully available, how does it compare to like malaria? And like, when's the last time that we talked about a malaria story on the podcast?
That's a good point.
A lot of people are dying for a lot of things, and I wish that it wouldn't happen, but I don't think that the best use of my life is to continue to, you know, like pay laser focus attention. So if the rest of the media could just, hop to my preferences, then we could knock down the coverage of this.
Look, I would be very interested in T.C. Fleming, news director or television programming director for like a month just to see what makes it into the pipeline and onto my screen.
A lot of animal vids. People like that.
Yeah, but I think you need, if that's going to be a big part of your programming, you need more fights.
Yeah.
Because
we would put up fights.
We watch a lot of like soothing animal vids
and not just animal fights. Like we would just do some Dallas, Texas TV type stuff.
Jesus Christ, man. I swear to you, every time I look at that website, every weekend, it's more disconcerting than it was the time before.
Do they have a website?
No, every time I go to the account.
Okay.
Yeah, and there was like, I think it was after Sunday night, which for some reason is even more terrifying to me. It was someplace in Arlington.
Yeah.
I saw it Monday morning, and I'm like, Jesus Christ, on a Sunday? Like, people do this on a Sunday.
Yeah.
Just smashing bottles and fighting security guards, and it was just a lot going on. And I'm afraid. I don't really don't want to be anywhere anymore. Kind of know what I mean?
I don't want to be around.
I don't want to be around. What do you mean? Like you don't want to do the show? No.
I don't want to be around anymore.
Yeah, it was just videos, and now I'm like, for some reason, all of a sudden afraid of guns, particularly unlocked ones that I never really thought about before. I don't know. I just feel like there's a lot going on.
While we were in Chicago, Jordan was real hot on letting us know that his next single would be called Dallas, Texas TV.
I saw the tweet.
Yeah, and he's been putting it together. It's going well.
I mean,
really,
perfect.
I think he's like kind of narrowed the vision to his song. He was on the trip going to start a whole band just called Dallas, Texas TV.
I can't think of anyone more aptly positioned to be the musical spokesperson.
Take up.
Yeah. So, I mean, I felt the same way whenever he created the term divorce pop.
Yes.
I'm like, yep. Based on a handful of conversations with you, I think you can handle this. You are divorce pop.
So Jim Jordan's been in the news. Did you see that? See Jim Jordan in the news?
Nah, not really. I saw this. This made me chuckle. When I was going through the Orlando CPAC, Orlando, my city. Did you ever go see that live?
Nah.
Damn.
I'd like to. Surely they'll keep doing it some, right? Like they'll do a thing in Dallas at some point again.
Probably can't cancel it, you know? Fucking culture. At that one, Trump was like, And Jim Jordan. Jim Jordan, he was a very successful wrestler in college. And I'm like, Jim Jordan? Like, he looks like if you kicked him, his sternum would cave in. He looks like a sickly fellow to me.
I mean, I think he was.
Yeah, I mean, I just didn't know that.
A wrestler. Well, that's very much tied into why I'm bringing up here. I don't know if we've officially inducted him into So They Got Away with That, Huh? But I would like to congratulate him on getting away with that, huh?
Is this Michigan State related
Ohio
or Ohio
State.
State? Okay.
Ohio State.
Okay.
Yeah, so the reason why I was thinking about him is he came up because, they've been attempting to have various iterations of an investigation into January 6th. And the Republicans put forward Jim Jordan as like a member that they wanted on the panel to look into it.
Yeah,
and
it's full on Oscar Mayer hot dog. I think you should leave content.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah, like that. Yes, it's pointing the hot dog to investigate who crashed the hot dog car into this clothing store.
Yeah.
And Pelosi, said no. Like she was like, no, we will not put him on the committee. And then they were like, okay, well then we won't have a committee. And I don't know the details. I don't care. But it just reminded me that Jim Jordan remains in Congress, which I think is an amazing feat, given that while he was an assistant wrestling coach at Ohio State, a number of players on the team came to him and said that they were being sexually abused by one of the doctors, and he didn't say anything. And then they came out while he was a congressperson and said, hey, I tried to get Jim to make it so the doctor wouldn't sexually assault me anymore, and Jim didn't do a goddamn thing. And then Jim called that first guy a liar, and then like a second guy was like, no, I was there. Did it to me too. I told Jim. Jim didn't do anything. I think they've got a nice little group going. I don't know exactly how many wrestlers you take to a tournament, and I would assume that these gentlemen are no longer in peak physical shape. But I think you could get a squad going of just people who said that they were assaulted and Jim Jordan was fine with it. And it just has not had any effect.
Okay,
so at this point, I would say he got whenever
he got away with that, huh?
Just think about whenever someone drops that into your lap, like the sexual assault allegations against someone that you have. Always kind of tricky what exactly spot the doctor holds. I think that at Indiana, the team doctor was like Bob Knight's best friend or something like that. And so I think it's often like that, right? Where because the whole thing with Schembechler.
Yeah, in Michigan. That was
his
a close friend.
Yeah. It's someone that they're going to go to bat for. So no doubt it's tough options on the table for old Jim whenever. I mean, I don't think I'd have a hard time figuring out what to do. The answer is report the guy who's sexually assaulting people, and then you'll be hailed as a hero for preventing sexual assaults. You can feel good about that. But he gets this dropped in his lap, and he's like, what a thorny thicket. Don't know what to do here.
Yeah.
And decides to just sit on his hands, say nothing. Goes on to have an extremely public career where the people come out and just demonstrate that you did this terrible thing. And but it has no effect.
Now, do you think that the doctor in question, do you think it reflects better or worse on Jim Jordan and on the allegations that Jim Jordan was made aware of, that the doctor killed himself when the allegations came to a head?
I think it's a slam dunk that the doctor did those things, but he's been trying to fight whether or not he was told.
Right. Okay. Now, let me ask you this as the keeper of this segment.
Mm-hmm.
What, did the team doctor get away with that, huh?
I would say if you do something that inspires you to suicide, I don't feel like you're getting away with it.
Okay.
It's the ultimate punishment.
Okay, but I mean, you have agency.
Yeah, no, it's always a question, right? If someone kills themselves in custody. Someone did that, just People Magazine, Jesus Christ, with the fucking sob stories. They just go, if it bleeds, it leads in People Magazine, folks. I'm just always on the little Apple News app. And anytime I see a People story, I'm like, all right, here's some fucked up shit. It was a husband and wife were on a cruise with their kids and the wife's brother, and they got into a fight. The husband and wife did with the kids in the room. And the dad was like, "Kids, leave the room." Kids leave the room. He just starts fucking walloping her, and killed her just by punching her. Like she in the fight, she was like, "I want off the cruise now, and I want to fly home. And when I'm home, I'm filing for divorce from you." And he beat her to death over it. Awful, awful, awful stuff. He killed himself in prison. So the incident happened in like 2018, something like that. But he killed himself this week, I believe. And so I've been thinking about, dude, does that constitute, like, if you're someone who's attached to that, like, are you like, well, that son of a bitch is off the earth and that's what I was hoping for, so great? Or are you like, I wanted him to serve out? I mean, I guess to me, it kind of goes to what kind of justice are you interested in? Like the formal system of justice. And like, I don't know, I'm glad that we have a justice system and it's doing its best, but I'd say it's pretty obviously imperfect. And that everyone cannot kind of make their own judgments about what justice is for them. And if for me, the fact the guy's gone, I mean, you definitely hear people be like, man, he took the coward's way out. I don't know. I think I'd be all right with that resolution. Like the act weighed on him in, as appropriate amount as it could, right? Like he'll never feel as guilty as he ought to for doing something like that.
But if it weighed on him that heavily and he did that, what if he was found guilty and they executed him that day? Would you have been okay with that?
What do you mean?
Well, you're getting to the same outcome, but I think
I'm okay with, like, I mean, the problem is that the problem why you can't have executions work that way is because
they're wrong a lot.
Yeah.
But if a guy's doing it himself, you're pretty sure that you're.
And I mean, this one,
he
like,
knows.
Fucking, her brother pulled the husband off of her. Like, it's not a question about whether or not he did it.
Can we put a divider here?
Sure.
Okay. That's a horrible story.
Yeah, go ahead.
I have two observations. Horrible story.
Yes. Divider.
I think it's kind of weird to go on vacation with your wife and your kids and your brother-in-law. Just your brother-in-law.
I don't know the full traveling party. I would think that was. I mean, like it's like, would I invite? Like if Megan and I were going somewhere with Izzy and Daniel didn't have kids, or I mean, even if he did, I'd invite Daniel and his kids. I'd invite just Daniel.
You would invite just Daniel.
I would invite just Daniel.
See, I think that's a little.
I mean, I think I hear what you're saying. Of like, if it came up, like if someone were like, oh, what are you doing next week? I would definitely nervously add a lot of explanation. I would tell them every detail. You know how you do that whenever you're like, well, I can tell if I say this a short way that they're going to think I'm a weirdo.
Right.
So I'm going to tell them an extremely
He's going through a rough time, and we've always been pretty tight, and it's basically like my wife's brother too. He's great with the kids.
Exactly.
Also,
but would I do it? 100% I'd do it. I would have a great time on vacation. It
sounds like
Daniel
a fucking Judd Apatow movie too, doesn't it?
It does. Yeah.
Like, in fact, somehow Gosling
Paul
is
Rudd
involved.
plays my brother.
Yeah, and Gosling's the hot single. He hooks up on the boat. Second observation. Guess I've lost track of the editorial bent of people.
Dude, they've always been.
I thought there was just a lot of like trouble in paradise for Kim and Kanye, catching up with Octomom, like fucking. I didn't know it was just like.
Who is the teen that got murdered in Barbados?
It's Aruba, and it was Natalie Holloway.
There we go. I knew you'd know. Yeah. I know I can defend.
You're on Vandersloot.
I can't get you to tell me whether or not you've ever heard of Jim Scudo.
Right.
Or what was the other one?
The director of...
No. There was one that was even more... I mean, to grab an example from last week, you still claim to not know who Tilda Swinton is.
Dude, but whether it was the chef.
Yeah, Jose Andres.
Look, let me tell you something right now. That was 1 week ago.
Uh-huh.
If I Google that name right now,
your
guess is as good as mine. Could be anything. Could be fucking anything.
But I say...
The picture could be in black and white.
But I say
like,
Barbados, and you're like, Natalie Holloway, Aruba, you're on Vandersloot.
Her dad was a judge.
Yeah.
He actually ended up getting arrested for a different murder.
You're on? Yeah. I recall that.
Kind of a Capone situation, you know?
Yeah.
Got him later.
So
Pete, you're right. I do remember people being
yeah. That's people's beat. They love that story.
Okay.
My mom has been a lifelong People subscriber.
Really?
Yes. So if you have, and she had Tell Me How 90s Is This, and I think it still goes on a little bit, but it used to be a fully formed ecosystem of she would get the issue, she would read it cover to cover, she would hand it to her best friend who would read it cover to cover, the exact same issue, and then like on down the chain. Like that People that my mom had, there was a system where like 15 people were going to read that magazine.
That's awesome. I mean, they're not that expensive, but
not at all. But it's exactly the kind of. I'm surprised my mom's the one that like ponies up front because she would 100% be like,
pass it along. Yeah, the avid people.
I can't spring for a new issue of that. Help a brother out.
Yeah, and like you can get a subscription and it knocks the price down like 95% from like newsstand prices.
Yeah.
Yeah, you're right. I guess I do remember that but they do also do like Sexiest Man Alive, right?
They do that, and they
That's a really
do
odd
like
stacking
celebrity
of
coverage
stories.
and how families are doing. I don't know.
There was something else I was going to say about that, but now I don't remember because I'm just creeped out by the prospect of going on vacation with my wife and brother.
See, I think that you, Nora, Kristen, and Joe sounds like a reasonable traveling party to me.
I don't know, man.
You guys would have a good time.
Again, if they have kids, I think that's a little more doable. Anyways, Jim Jordan. The point I was going to make was it doesn't matter what any of these people do.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, obviously you can point to Franken had a joke photo with a lady.
He's not one of these people.
Yeah.
They don't eat their own.
Well, you say that.
You got to go back to fucking wide stance. That was a different era.
Cuomo is also a Democratic Party politician. Same party as Al Franken.
I'm not saying that it's every or none. I'm definitely not saying that. But I do think, somebody does one of these threads every now and then. It largely does seem like people that end up in illicit sex stories of any kind, it's typically people right of center, and a lot of times they end up having very little consequences paid.
Yeah, the consequences paid thing is certainly bothersome, is what we're highlighting here. But I had someone was making a point to me. They were saying that they'd seen like a study or an investigation. Someone went back and read all of the like letters to the editor for like a gaming magazine in like 1992, and it was over the hot topic that you will no doubt remember, whether or not to have blood in Mortal Kombat 2.
I do remember that.
Yeah, I knew you would. And they were looking up, this was a time whenever people would just publish their full fucking address in gaming magazines, right? So it'd be like, Jim Scudo in Washington, D.C. And so they were able to like match records for a lot of these people and see, like what became of the people who were like, hell yeah, more blood, or the people who were like, hey, don't do the blood. And the hell yeah, more blood people, clean sheet, no problems in life.
Yeah.
The hey, you guys need to keep that blood out of that goddamn video game, people.
Am I pitting super hard? Is that what you're looking at?
No,
that's not that bad. I changed shirts before I came in. Dan called me out on the air yesterday.
I'm sorry that happened.
I went a couple weeks without my spicy deodorant.
I wasn't looking at anything.
Well,
and you're just like, oh, I'm pitting? Okay.
Dude, mid-segment, he cut me off and he was like, geez, dude.
I'm like, no, I know.
Okay.
I mean,
anyways,
I'm aware it's something that you have sensitivities about.
I mean, I'm pretty open about it. The blood thing fits in with trying to like regulate might not be judge people's sex lives.
But I think, I see a parallel of I think that the phenomenon that's occurring is that people like me who love the blood in the game, I'm treating it as a very light thing. Like, I know that the blood in the game doesn't make me want to commit crimes, so I don't give a shit. But this person who does have darkness in their soul, And I mean, we've all got darkness in their soul, but I'm just saying, like, the violence lives in them. The rest of their life bore that out. Like, they caught fucking assault charges. Illustrates that they're saying that, like, I know the stakes here. Like, I am walking this fucking razor's edge of whether or not I'm going to beat the shit out of my neighbor.
Right.
And this blood is not fucking helping me. And so you kind of see the person as, like, having the purer morals, being the one who'd be like, no blood in video games. But, like, I'm not saying that I'm sure about this. I'm just taught this is a test balloon for you folks to try on, see if it fits. If it doesn't, no worries. But that they're saying, like, we got to watch out for the gay menace because they know that they can't walk into a single fucking airport bathroom without just trying to chobble down as many dicks as they can get their hands on. And like me, I'm like, I don't have any. I mean, I can't make it past the billboard without pulling over, but pretty normal sex drive, I feel. So, whenever stuff like that comes up, I'm like, hey, who cares? Let anyone do anything.
Yeah. Okay. So let's take this one step further. And I have not thought about this at all. So that's the subheading for the podcast.
Uh-huh.
Do you think, how does that apply to, I'm again, not to use the term cancel culture seriously, because I don't think I don't
it's
think
not
you'd
what
let
we're
me
here
out
to
of the room.
do. Yeah.
But when you think about things like, typically people who are left of center are the people who want a more respectful version of language. At least that's how they would couch it. And this is coming back up a lot right now with the curriculum changes here in Texas. So does that square it all with that, or are these moral issues where it comes up more? Like because by that same logic, you would be saying like, well, people on the right are.
I don't know how it would fit with curriculum stuff.
Because, I don't have the same feeling, but I'm also trying to be honest about my own priors. And I suppose probably people would just spin that as saying like, hey, that's just your repressed guilt. And that's why you think this needs to be, taught or talked about, or that you shouldn't be able to say certain words because of the way they make people feel. Because basically you're saying like the government and society should curb the types of sexual behavior that people are allowed to engage in, and you should curb the types of violence that they're allowed to see. And we see that both those things bear out people, running afoul of their own rules and regs a little more often, it seems like.
Yeah,
so I don't know.
I'm saying that they want the rules because they know how.
Okay, I was trying to get there, and that I think does it. But I wonder about that too. Like, I guess I need to read like the wording of the bill, but man, I just cannot imagine. Like, it seems like an Onion headline to be like Texas legislators will no longer require teaching that the KKK is immoral. Like, that feels like something South Park would write. Like, that's such an extremist headline, but there has to be something else to it.
Yeah, no, I mean, obviously some things are immoral. I don't know that like history class is for moral judgment. I mean, it obviously is. You can't. I don't know what to do with that. Something about like the state saying what teachers can and can't say is moral feels weird to me. Period. But I don't know.
Yeah, and I also don't think that people who were presenting that story is like, hey, they actually want to make it seem like the KKK was like a bunch of good dudes from the Rotary Club. I think it's, because I did see some of that. It's like people took it as like, oh, okay, well, let's just paint them as like the,
like the actual important thing is like what the country feels about the KKK. And like, I think that we do have wide agreement from like enough of the population that they were bad. And I doubt that that's going to reverse. I think it's probably only headed one way. Yeah,
but there was a guy who was like almost in charge of it that Trump wouldn't be like, hey, that seems like a bad guy.
Yeah, no. I know, but I felt like at the time that like most people were in agreement that like this whole like that those elements of like even people who voted for him would kind of be like, that Charlottesville speech made me feel a little weird. Like, I think that most people were of the opinion that Trump was in the wrong there whenever he was doing those kinds of things.
I'm going to bet that 40% of the country doesn't.
Yeah, but I'm saying 60-40 is something I can live with.
I think it's 40-40.
I'd like better.
Boy, by the way, did you hear Brady's awesome joke? That ruled.
Quinn?
No.
Oh, yeah. I did.
Flip-flopper.
I couldn't tell.
He thinks he can just play both sides?
I wasn't like 100% if he was kind of like, couldn't you imagine a world? We never know what Tom Brady thinks about this stuff, right? Like, I'm in no way sure what Tom Brady thinks about anything. I think it could just be a set of marbles up there in his skull, or he's slippery about this stuff. By this stuff, I don't mean politics specifically. I mean his thoughts on anything outside of football. And so I always wonder if like he just kind of like met Trump once and like thought this was funny and like, hey, it's cool I met the president. He's probably met Obama as well. In fact, I know he has because he won the Super Bowl. But there's also a world in which Tom Brady is like a committed Trumpist, right?
Oh yeah.
Like that seems quite possible that like he is pretty fired up about this stuff.
Everything's on the table here.
And then you could imagine him being like, all right, I'll go, but I'm going to fucking talk about how I'm going to acknowledge the steal. I'm going to work in something about the steal.
Acknowledge the steal. Will Tom Brady be the first notable former athlete to travel to space?
Maybe.
Feels like he's blowing away the field.
Kobe would have gone to space.
You think?
Yeah. I think he would have loved to go to space.
I think now that you say that, I could actually see that. I think I could see him being a guy who really views himself as like a torchbearer for moving humanity forward.
Exactly.
But I think Tom Brady thinks that about himself too.
Yeah.
I think Marty B would do it just to be like, fuck it.
I think he'd do it. I think Cam Newton would go to space.
Yeah, he would be on my list as well. I mean, there's some obvious no's, like Favre, no fucking chance. Probably doesn't believe it's there, you know?
I would love a reshoot of Armageddon with Favre as Stamper.
I don't want to replace Stamper, but I'd love to somehow work, if you could work Brett Favre in there somehow. And then
Stamper's taking a partner. I mean, obviously we can't have a sequel. A prequel.
A prequel.
Yeah.
An Armageddon prequel.
Where his partner is Favre, like in the oil business.
Yeah, and like as a subtle nod to crossover month, there's like a key scene where he has to throw something.
Yeah. How I know I already texted this, but the fact that we're running NBA Jungle Cruise ads and you haven't brought that to this show is an abomination.
Okay, let me tell you something.
I didn't know what Jungle Cruise was.
The first time I saw it, I was really confused because I was unaware that Jungle Cruise was a movie that was coming out. But the other thing is...
I mainly only know because they ran NBA ads. Also, I do follow The Rock on Instagram.
Of course you do. Of course you do. The other thing is, man, and I know this makes me a bad entertainment reporter, I start a lot of NBA games like 20 minutes late. And YouTube TV makes it extremely easy to skip pretty much every commercial until
that's tight.
Midway through or the fourth quarter.
So you haven't seen most of them. That's cool.
Yeah, I saw, you know, if Dame Lillard is fucking Black Widow or something, selling phones, I don't know about it.
I just feel like it'd been a little while since we'd had.
You're right.
Yeah,
you're right. But you know what I did do the other day?
What's that?
And a lot of people are like,
and I think they had a progression of them.
There's like a story.
I think so.
Now, see, when you said it the other night, I saw a couple of them, and I'm like, but it's also like that, because isn't Bam Adebayo in them?
You're going to have to tell me who those players are.
Well, I think it's Jimmy and Bam Adebayo, and I'm like, Bam Adebayo is awesome, and probably in the next few years could be a relatively household name, but he's certainly not now, which is kind of how I felt when there's another commercial that was running earlier in the playoffs for, I want to say, a car rental company. And it was, I think it was Otto Porter.
Oh, no. Why?
It was somebody who has been relatively washed.
Yeah.
Since the hype of their early season, early career hype wore off. But people will be like, man, what a great job you have. It just seems easy. You know, what do you work 3 hours a day? Mm-hmm. And that's all true. That's all I work. Mm-hmm. Oh, you know what it was? I think it might have been Kelly Oubre Jr.
Oh, no.
Somehow even. Until the other day, I had to watch Space Jam 2.
Yeah.
Dude.
I loved them flashing the Rotten Tomatoes score. Whenever they showed LeBron on the finals, like underneath him, they put like 31% Rotten Tomatoes.
That ain't real.
That wasn't real?
There's no way.
I think it's real.
Well, I got to tell you.
You tell me it wasn't real?
I don't think I've ever seen a movie like it, and it's also a fucking abomination. Do you know what the whole situation is with this movie?
They're fighting a computer?
Okay. Loosely. It is essentially...
I hope to never know more than what I just said.
Full-on... It's like a garage sale or a family reunion of intellectual property. That's all it is.
Yeah. I know that they have the Clockwork Orange people in it.
Everything.
Yeah.
Everything. Game of Thrones, Mad Max, The Matrix, Clockwork Orange, King versus fucking... or Kong, got all of it, dude. It's every single piece. And we've talked before about how, like, hey, guys, remember this? Is like my worst version of current content because it just feels like everyone's brain is broken and we can no longer come up with anything. That's the whole movie. The whole movie is, do you remember this? And every other line is a nod to another movie. Like Don Cheadle yelling, King Kong ain't got shit on me or anything on me at the end of the movie is a Training Day play that they could then also tie into Kong being in the crowd. He could be like,
Yeah, it's terrible.
Dude, I was mad watching it. Like, I was upset. I was watching it, and then I was upset with the intellectual property orgasm that they thought. Because, like, who's the movie for? Like, sometimes when we watch, like, Finding Nemo or Finding Dory or any of these movies, there are slight things that are funny to adults. That's been Disney's bit forever.
Sure.
But the version of that in this movie is just simply, hey, this is a kid's movie, but also your parents might remember that, huh?
Yeah.
That's the whole nod to parents. The whole nod to parents is being like, hey, remember when you saw The Matrix? Your kids didn't, but you did, so hope you're happy. It's just terrible.
Yeah, it sounds, I don't know. I hope everyone learned a lot of lessons and don't do it again.
Well, I think Skip Bayless was right. This settles the LeBron Jordan thing.
I'm glad you think so.
I'll never bring it up again.
Good.
It's over.
Yeah.
All right, I'm going to go eat fucking vegetables.
Have fun.
Later.
That's it for tonight. The high school special is next, so until tomorrow, for everyone who's been a part of this one,
I'm TC and Jake.
we do thank you for watching. Good night.